The hopes, the goals, the dreams that you've been telling yourself, that you've been telling other people, that you've been manifesting, all of those are absolutely achievable, but I promise you it'll be so much more easier with boundaries put in place. Boundaries are such a wonderful thing. I feel like a lot of people know that they need them, but they struggle to put them in place. That's why in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the types of boundaries that you need to be your best self, and also stick around to the end because I'm going to be talking about some strategies that you can put when the road ain't so smooth along the way as you're really trying to shift into this new person. I want to make sure you get what you need out of this video, so timestamps will be down in the description box below. If you're wanting to prioritize your self-care, I do have a quiz for you in the description box below, along with some other resources that will help you on your journey. I'm pretty sure that you know somebody who struggles with saying no, constantly apologizing for things that they didn't do, getting taken advantage of by people, friends, family, everybody. And in their heart of hearts, they just don't feel respected by others. And you can see that because they're going with the flow. They're always navigating based off of other people's opinions and how to please others. Now, please others, that goes along with the video I just made on people pleasers. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper into that, you can definitely check that video out. It'll also be in the description box below. But one of the ways to overcome people pleasing that I talked about was boundaries. And a lovely subscriber asked for this video. So here it is. Whether it's in my sessions or in my everyday life, boundaries is something that constantly comes up. And if you're wondering what are boundaries, boundaries are the invisible lines that we draw around ourselves to protect our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical well-being. And so they help us to really understand what we stand on, what we don't stand for. That goes back to your values and what you believe in. And so it really forms who you are as a person. So that's why without that foundation of boundaries, you just swaying in the wind, really just out here, not really living life on your own terms, but living for others. There are many types of boundaries. I'm going to talk about 5 of them. Then we're going to talk about how you can apply them. The first one is physical boundaries. This is that personal space, that physical touch. Then you have your emotional boundaries. This involves recognizing and honoring your feelings and emotion. Then you got your mental boundaries, and this involves protecting your thoughts, your beliefs, and your values. Then you got your spiritual boundaries. These are your beliefs and your practices. Then you have your time boundaries. This is the limits that we set around how we spend our time. As you can see, boundaries are in every aspect of our everyday life, in the relationships that we have with others, and most importantly, in the relationship that you have with yourself. That's why without boundaries, you can really risk being drained, overwhelmed, resentful, because you're saying yes to things when you really want to say no. That's why it allows for people to disrespect your time, your energy, and your values. If you've been listening to all of the negative things that happen when you don't have boundaries and you're wondering, why don't people just practice boundaries? There's a couple of reasons. Well, a lot of reasons. One, you just didn't see it. Growing up, it wasn't named. You constantly saw people not having boundaries and operating from that place. So it became a norm for you. It was just a belief in how you just unconsciously operated and navigated for yourself and the relationships that you had with other people. Also, society is constantly sharing this narrative that we need to sacrifice. We need to get other people's approval. We need to be the kind person. And when people say kind, they always want you to say yes, when that doesn't mean kind. It just means doormat. There's a lot of reasons why people don't have boundaries put in place, but hopefully after watching this video, you'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to be one of them. And then you might go on and share this or tell other people, and then it just becomes a beautiful ripple effect. So before we jump into identifying boundaries and how to apply them in our life and those strategies, all the good actionable stuff, I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments, what is a boundary that you have put in place that you're like, that protects my peace, that is good for my mental health. But if you're like, I don't know, what is a boundary that you want to put in place because you know that it will benefit your mental health? One for me, I'll go first, is my bedtime. That was a boundary that I had to set for myself, set that time, because it allowed me to be more present, more available to my kids in the morning so that I can send them off to school with smiling faces and really put that energy and pour into them and that love that is just wonderful when you wake up and you going off into this crazy world. It's time to switch gears a little bit. We done got all the information that we need about the types of boundaries, the consequences of not having them, and so therefore we know the benefits of boundaries. Now it's time to apply that to our own lives. And one of the best ways to do that is self-reflection. So we're going to need to get that pen, that paper, and we're going to do a journaling exercise. If you're not new around here, then you already know that journaling is like my thing. If you don't know, I will link some other videos for you as well in the description box. but I'm gonna show you guys what I'm working with. I got this beautiful notebook here from TJ Maxx. So I'm just gonna sit down right here. I don't know. I might sit at that desk. It's a little junky. Don't judge me. I'm a mom of 3. This is a safe space. But I'm gonna sit down and ask myself some very important questions. I'm gonna ask myself, what areas do I find myself triggered? What are the times where I wanted to say no, but I actually said yes? Who are people that I don't feel comfortable with? This is going to really lay that foundation for you understanding where some of the red flags are in your life so that we can then move on to the next step. Now that we identify some red flags within ourselves and the areas of our life, now it's time to set 3. I don't really want you to go 5. If you want to be an overachiever, then do you. But I'm saying let's start small so that we can work our way and get some wins under our belt, get that confidence. So I want you to really look at 3 types of boundaries that you want to set. Again, boundaries are not always about setting them with other people. We got to also have that self-discipline and have those boundaries with ourselves. So you done did a self-reflection, and done searched through your life. You got some inspiration, narrowed it down to the 3 types of boundaries that you want to set. Now it's time to get your notebook and your pen and write it down. The reason why I want you to write it down is because it is a commitment to yourself. When you write something down, it really just brings things more to life. And so I want you to write them down so that you can share them with only yourself, if that's who you could trust right now. I'm not saying go out there and just share with people and then they just criticizing you, because everybody's not going to want you to set boundaries. Everybody's not going to like it, which brings me over to some of the strategies. The first strategy, when things is kind of getting a little bumpy, you getting some resistance, some pushback from people, it's going to be communicating with I statements. It's easier to say, I feel this way, and for somebody to know that it is coming straight from you. It also allows you to stand firm in who you are than to say, oh, everybody's doing this. No, I don't feel comfortable. I don't have time. I can't make this a priority right now. It's coming from you and you learning that your thoughts and opinions are important and that they need to be respected. And then thus other people will fall in line or they'll fall out of your life. Strategy number 2 is consistency and follow through. Listen, if you just do it one time, it's a fluke, it's a miss. They gonna just block it out their mind and be like, oh, she was just on something. No, you have to be constantly reinforcing it because you're shifting. You're doing something different. You're changing the narrative. And a lot of people want to hold on to who you were before and don't want to know and respect and honor the person that you are now. So that's where the boundaries come in place. That's why the assertive communication is important, those I statements. And that's why you got to be consistent, because you got to let them know, no, this is now. This is present. This is real life. This is not a fluke. And so that's where that comes. And so it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be challenging, but you got to think about that future self. You got to think about the person that you want to become. You got to know your why. You don't want to be drained. You don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to be resentful. You don't want to be disconnected from yourself. You don't want all those things. And so that's why consistency and following through with these boundaries is going to be important. And the last strategy is making self-care a priority. Boundaries are a form of self-care. I don't know if you didn't know, but self-care is prioritizing your own well-being, and thus setting boundaries is also protecting and prioritizing your own well-being. So that's why when you're taking care of yourself, when you're honoring that, when you're putting it into your routine, when you're making it a non-negotiable, boundaries are easier for you to fall in place because you're like, no, I got to go to that massage. I can't be taking on other people's assignments and they getting paid. Hello. Overcommitting. When you come and you check in and you remember the ways that you need to take care of yourself, it's going to be easier to stand on business, like I said in the beginning of the video. So make sure you're practicing self-compassion. Make sure that you're practicing self-acceptance, that this is the person that you're becoming, that there will be resistance, there will be challenges, there will be setbacks, but you're doing it for you, for that dream self, right? That better self. There's so many labels out there, whatever you want to label it, so that you can become that person, understanding that it's going to be a challenge. There are going to be setbacks, but you will get through it. And the most important thing is recognizing that you need to love yourself throughout the whole journey. I hope by now that you know how serious boundaries are to you being your authentic self, or you being able to feel empowered and navigate life on your own terms, because I truly want you to win. I want you to be able to show up in other people's lives, but I want you first to know that it's important to show up in your own life. I hope by now that you've made boundaries a non-negotiable for you. If you haven't, rewatch the video, share it with somebody, have a dialogue, because because boundaries will truly transform your life. They will empower you, help you feel confident, help you reassure who you are and how you stepping into other people's lives because you first know how to show up for yourself. That's why I love boundaries, because it's about the self, but also about others in your life as well. That's why it's a beautiful thing. If you found this video helpful, then I'm pretty sure that you'll also find these other videos helpful as well. I will link them also down in the description box below, but I'm wishing you well. Hit the like button if you like this content. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.